All right, here we go, my friends. Another fabulous podcast episode by me, your host, Frank Garay. And I've got a great friend in the house with me this morning. My pal, my business partner, in fact, Steve Kyle's in the house. My
man, let's go.
Always good to chat with you, man. Seems like I see a lot of you lately, but it's all good, man. It's all good. I've gotten used to you. You know, you've grown on me, Steve. You've kind of grown on me. So, it's not as... it's not as bad as it used to be. Now
like
it's a little easier.
Man. Just kidding.
Hey, man, I'm glad you're on today because I wanted to talk about something that I found has really been useful for me and it's been really impactful for me back in the origination space with what I'm doing. And that is this unity, and this is what I mean. Like the mantra that we have on our team is, one people, one language, one purpose, where nothing's impossible, right? Or anything's possible. Right. And you hear something like that and you think, so, okay, well, that's a cute phrase. People have cute phrases on their walls, and things like that and all that kind of stuff. But what I've come to really enjoy lately, being on the team and getting some deals through the door and getting them closed and all that stuff is this notion of one people, right? One language, one purpose. If it's a reality, it's like amazing. And here's how I want to kind of tee this up, and I'd like you to kind of chime in on this, but it's like this. When we're in the mortgage space and we're an originator and we're doing our best to originate and close loans, right? We're doing our best. Boy, it sure is nicer when everybody in the canoe is rowing the same direction. You know what I mean? And what I mean by that is that sometimes you can get in the situation where you might have administrative staff or you might have support staff processing that kind of thing, where they feel like, well, this is my job, right? That's not my job. This is my job. That's not my job, right? And what I really appreciate about the way the team is structured, where I think anyone who's listening to this needs to really focus on getting their team to this point, is where, look, we all have the same job, right? We all have the same job, and that job is to originate and close loans. Now, your role in that, right, in the big picture is a certain thing, right? It's a certain thing, but everybody has to be lined up on the same, doing the same job. The job is to originate and close loans, right? So of course we're marketing animals people, so we revolve around the daily success plan. And it's one thing, Steve, for an originator to revolve around the daily success plan. It's altogether another thing when the whole team is revolving around the daily success plan. In other words, the whole team understands what's happening each and every day by the originator, right? To fully support that plan that's being executed, right? So you really can have, one people with one language and one purpose. When you can get that synergy lined up with the whole team, golly, that is so cool, man. Yeah. And you've really done a great job in getting that put together. And I know there's a lot that goes into that. It's not something that's really easy to pull off, but how long have you been working on getting this to where it is? It's been a couple of years, right?
Oh yeah. And here's what you're really talking about. I wrote down the word culture. Culture is an interesting thing, Frank. It's culture. There's layers of culture. And part of what I thought about is like, there may be somebody who's like, hey, I really believe in what the marketing animals is doing. I love how we have a clear plan, a daily success plan. There's community, there's camaraderie, there's the right words to say, and there's a language that's built within this community. And Frank, what happens is culture is in layers. So when I think about culture, I think about a single originator can have a culture, and the rest of the organization can have a different culture. Then here's the other thing: an originator who's a part of a team can have a culture, and the organization can have a different culture, or an originator, a team, and the organization all carry the same culture. And that's really what you're experiencing is, on the Breakfast Club, which you do such a great job leading the Loan Officer Breakfast Club, but we have Owen and Kevin, and so many people know who they are. But the culture of what we're building isn't just at the loan officer level. It's not just at the team level. It's literally at the organizational level, which makes it something that you're not fighting through. Like, hey, we want to touch the lead, touch the partner. We want to make sure our back end team is asking for the business. There's nobody on the other side of operations saying, Frank, we just don't do that here.
Right.
It's like, no, 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 no. Hey, like when we talk about one people, one language, one purpose, nothing's impossible. You know what it is? Everybody's got the same goal, just like you said. They're just carrying out different functions
Right.
of that goal.
Right.
And so our back end team fully understands what it looks like to support the loan officers in the sales team. And there's a mutual respect. You know what's so cool, Frank? It's not like operations is like, oh yeah, I don't like those salespeople. They keep bringing me deals. I'll get rid of them. But they're saying, wow, you know what our operations team was saying, and you've experienced this with Andy. I want you to tell a little bit because you've had some of this experience. A lot of where I was in the past and some of my previous experiences, it was like, yeah, it's already the 10th of the month. We're not putting another deal in the month. We just don't have enough time. But what you'll find from our culture and what we've really worked for the last 2.5 years to get the right people, it's like, oh my gosh, we understand the battle that the sales team has been having. We understand how hard it is when there's upward pressure on rates. We understand what it's like, all of the hours and the calls. Like they have a real understanding of what the sales team is doing to go get the business. So when you're the 10th of the month and you say, hey, I got a rush that needs to happen this month, our team's like, oh my gosh, we will do everything we can to make that deal happen. Give it to me, give it to me, give it to me. Go get more. And
Mhm.
it's like, but it's culture. It's and how do you build culture? We talked to you and I were talking yesterday, and I think culture starts with the very, very top. I think you've got to have an organization that embraces a philosophy of, hey, listen, we're all like when we talk about one purpose, here's what the purpose is, Frank. It's to make a difference in the lives of the families and the partners we serve. Who are the families? The families are our loan officers. The families are our processors. The families are our operations team. The families are the realtors and the title companies and the insurance agents. When your purpose is to help make a difference in the lives of the families and the partners we serve, here's what happens is we all make a great living doing it. And culture begins with things like that because here's what we do. Nobody says, I'll never forget, I was telling you this yesterday, as we were building the operational support last year. I heard somebody on the team say, and this person, super nice person, great person. I had nothing personally, like it wasn't like I didn't dislike the person, but I heard him say, hey, that's not my job. And I'll never forget that moment. I literally called our operations guy, Andy, and I said, hey, brother, you're going to have to take care of that. And I want that fixed in 2 weeks. And we ended up top grading and replacing that person
Mhm.
because you get like culture is who we are.
Mhm.
Like you don't walk in and say, hey, I want to be something. No, no, no. Culture is it leads the decisions we make every single day. But it begins with number one, the leadership, number two, the people you have, and number three, here's the third part of culture, it's our process. Like you have to have a process that leads everybody to the right results within that culture. And I mean, so for us, and that's where it really has started. It's number one, having a clear vision. And what I love about it too, Frank, you know, what's why we have the heart, and we're probably talking more than we normally do, but the heart of the marketing animals, you know why?
Mm.
Because you're a big part of the marketing animals, and I'm a big part of the
Right.
marketing animals, and Chris Johnstone and Carl White. And like when you get everybody in the same room, you can't help but have the same heartbeat. And then we just got to find the right people. And then you set easy to follow processes that protect the culture. And that's a big deal, man.
Mhm.
Hey, because you were telling me, tell me some of the wins, man. Yesterday, you were, I felt like you couldn't stop talking about how much you were loving being here. And to be clear, so Frank runs the Breakfast Club, and everybody knows that. Big part of us at the Marketing Animals. But then Frank and I, we're building a national sales team at Success Mortgage Partners. And Frank and I have linked arms and really building something special. And you were just telling me about, you told me, you said, Steve, 30 years in the business. I can't believe it's real. about that. You literally
It's
told me that yesterday, and I'm like, we'll talk about it.
here's what it is. But I was talking about, man, I got to keep my nose out of it. I keep sticking my nose into the process. And hey, are you doing this? Or are
Yeah,
you
so
got
you
that?
went and
No.
got loans. You got loans in
Yeah,
the pipeline,
right.
and you're like, because your experience in 30 years is there's
I
no
better make sure
way
that those people are doing their job, is my experience, right? And trying,
100%, and
yeah, and
rightfully so, because you
right.
trust me, but you've never experienced the process. Okay.
Right, never experienced. So to go through it on the first couple of closings was quite eye opening. It was like, oh, they're doing it, they're doing it. And here's it. So they're,
Hey, hold on. What are they doing? So, like,
well,
your
okay.
team handed
Here's
off
what
the
they're doing.
loan.
I'll tell you. This is real
Okay.
simple, right? I originated the loan. My loan partner got the initial stuff up front, right? The pay
Yeah.
stubs,
Yeah.
W-2s, all that.
Documents, all that. Yeah.
He flipped it over to Andy and team, right? And they take it from contract to close. Like, I don't need to get involved, right? They understand my contingency dates. They understand my, the people I'm working with. They understand the closing date, and they just get it done. And they're reaching out to the borrower, and they're getting stuff, and they're having conversations. And they're asking for the business as well.
Wow, that's
But
shocking.
here's what I think is the most exciting thing when you do have, when you have one people with one language and one purpose, right? And you mentioned in your what you were saying is like there's this family, and the loan officers are the family, and the processors are the family, and the support team is on our family, and you even went so far as to say, and our realtors are on the family.
That's right.
That's where the difference came in, because
Yeah.
here's what it is. A lot of times in a lot of organizations, and this is especially true on the broker side, right? On the broker side, you're working with a wholesale lender, and that
Yeah.
wholesale lender is kind of beholden to you a little bit as the
Yeah.
originator, but they're totally disconnected from the realtor partners, totally disconnected from the borrowers, totally disconnected from the title company. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
they're not connected to them in a personal way through the transaction. Whereas with our team, what I found so impressive is that my operations team is embracing my realtor partners and embracing my buyers and
Yeah.
embracing the title
Yeah.
company as if they're just part of our big cohesive team. And so
Yeah.
they're engaging with them in that respect. That it spills over beyond the originator to the realtor partner, to the borrower, to, you know what I mean? To where it's like,
Yeah.
it's one people with one language and one purpose. We're all doing the plan. We all know what's going on, and I don't have to worry about it. Like, if the borrower needs to provide something, right? It doesn't
Yeah.
come from them to my loan partner to me. Hey, Frank, we need this. Go and get it. Now I got to
Mm.
stop what I'm doing and run out there and get it. No, my ops team and Andy and team, they're already talking to them, build a
Yeah.
relationship
Yeah.
with them,
Yeah.
and they're engaging with them. Hey, we need this thing. We need that thing, right? It's I just love the way it spills over, Steve.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
spills over from, it's not operations only talks to the loan originator and that's it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? No, operations is now fully involved with my realtor partners, with my, you know what I mean? Asking for things, letting them know we got things, a little update here and there. I'm doing my job too. So, man, the whole process is really great. And the
Hey,
feedback that I've
you told
gotten
me
is
about a
amazing.
save a deal, not a save a deal. What was it? You were doing your pre-approved and looking calls.
That
This
was
was
hilarious.
this. Yeah. So because I think share that real quick, because you told me that yesterday, and I thought that's a great example. What Andy said is a responsive culture. So
Yeah,
tell me about that
this is a
again.
great story. So I got a deal, a pre-approved and looking, and and to clarify, the agent is kind of a newer agent, but he works with an
Yeah.
agent of mine that's superstar, right? And
Yeah.
she's guiding him. She directed him. He got a deal. So talked to Frank. So I got them pre-approved, and I was doing my plan, right? Doing the daily success plan. And Thursdays, he was pre-approved for a couple of weeks, right? Looking for properties. And so Thursday rolled around, and it was time to do my pre-approved looking call. So I called the borrower to say, "Hey, just checking in, seeing if you're still looking, or what the deal is." And he goes, "We're in contract." I go, "What?
What?
What?" He goes, "Yeah." I go, "Since when?" He goes, "Like Sunday," and it's Thursday.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and so I'm like, "Am
Next
I doing?
question is, am I still
Am
the
I
lender?
doing the loan?" And he goes, "What? Yeah, I hope so." And he goes, "You need to talk to Matt, the agent." I'm like, "Okay, okay, okay, okay. I'm gonna call Matt." So I call Matt and say, "Hey, what's up, Frank?" I go, "Hey, bud, are we in contract with
Yeah.
he's a doctor with the doctor?" He goes, "Oh yeah, yeah." I go, "Since when?" He goes, "Well, like Sunday." I go, "You,
Like, do
I'm doing the loan, right?" I'm the loan. Goes, "Yeah, what do you mean?" I go, "I didn't know. I didn't
where's the
know we were in." He
contract, my
goes, "Oh,
man?
I didn't give you the contract?" I go, "No, I have no idea." So now I'm 4 days in, maybe no big deal, right? No big deal. It's a
Yeah.
15-day close.
What?
I'm
Wowzers.
4 days in. I got
Ooh,
contingency dates that are literally like 5 days away
yeah,
from
yeah.
meeting appraisal, meeting approval,
Yeah.
and I got to close like now in 11 days.
Hmm.
So I'm like, okay, well, let's get this thing going, get the contract, let's get this thing going. I get it over to, and we get it up to Andy, or I start talking to Andy. Andy, this is what's
Yeah.
going on. He's just said, give me a challenge.
Hmm. I love it.
Give me a
First words
challenge.
out of his mouth weren't, Frank, hey, because listen, we both been there. Why are we not going to be able to do that? The first words are out of his mouth. Give me a challenge, baby.
Give
Come
me a
on, let's go.
challenge.
Hey,
Yeah.
and by the way, he just closed one 2 weeks ago for Tana. She gave him a deal and she said, hey, we got to close in 7 days. There was a whole story behind it. My man got it, his team got it clear to close in 5 business days and closed in the seventh.
Nice.
Believe that?
Yeah.
Like it wasn't complaining, but the reason why we talk about that is I think that's a culture. Culture is this together we win. Culture is uh, like we'll do whatever it takes that's legal, ethical, and moral to support our sales team. When there's a real compassion and care, Frank, the challenge is for most organizations, the operations teams genuinely don't understand the struggle that the sales team is going under, and vice versa. The sales team, they're cramming things down the throats of operations, and it's like, you better and you will. And we just, when you protect your culture and say, hey, that's not how we operate. Like without Andy and operational team, sales doesn't work. And without sales, operations doesn't work. And we're going to make this a family environment to where it's like we're looking out for each other. Hey, and if Andy ever called and said, Steve, I need your help, brother, yes, sir. What is
What is
it?
it?
The
Yeah.
answer is yes. Now, what am I doing? And
Mm-hmm.
and it's this mutual back and forth. But dude, to understand that there can be something that's, what I call it? It's healthy. It's life giving. I'll never forget this phrase: healthy things grow. And we just want to have an
Hmm.
environment that protects the health of our relationships, the health of our organization. And here's the other deal too: everything doesn't have to be a crisis. If you've got processes, and you and I were talking about this, like if you've got a process that delivers submitting loans in 72 hours, if you've got a process that delivers a file being submitted so clean that they got five or less buyer conditions, if you've got a process that gets 95% of your loans clear to close 3 days prior to closing, if you've got a process that gets your docs out 48 hours ahead of closing, like it removes most of the urgent, like it's like crisis. Oh my God,
Right, right,
my hair's on fire. I
right.
love it. Carl said this the other day, and I was like, brother, you were so right. He's like, look, if you got fires that keep coming up, you better go find out who's got a book of matches
Yeah.
and who's lighting the
That's
fires.
hilarious.
And I'm
Somebody's
like,
lighting
what?
them. Yeah.
Somebody's running around here with a book of matches. My man, go get him. Go get him. And
That's hilarious.
and what you do is like in the right culture with the right process, you remove all of that. And you know why Andy can do that? Because his team has margin, because 95% of the stuff is following the process. And then when you have the one-offs, or you have this came up or that come up, and oh my gosh, it's urgent. When you live in margin, you and I talk about this, Frank. When you have not only a livable calendar, but you put the right things in order first. People don't think about it, but order matters. And when your process drives the most important things first, it's amazing. You wake up and it's like, hey, on sales, I did my 2 hours of outbound. I talked to Jonathan this week, one of my buddies. He said, Steve, I can't believe it. I've been doing my 2 hours of outbound prospecting. Last week, I went really, really crazy and I did 20 hours. He said, it's probably more than I normally can do, but I can probably do somewhere around 15, 16 every week. He said, Steve, and my team's killing it. Like I got a great team. And of course he does. And Frank, here's what he said: I don't know what to do with the other 20 hours. It's like, it's amazing. And you know why though? Because when you put the right order of
Yeah.
things, like for salespeople, you got to put your personal life first. You got to put your family second. You got to put, and I know that sounds crazy, but we help everybody in our team with this. And then number three, you got to put sales. So in my business life, sales is number one, but in my personal life, sales is number three because order matters.
Mm.
And when I put the right order of sales first, everything works in operations. What are my big rocks? My big rocks are hitting these major milestones so that it removes the chaos. And then guess what? I put the other stuff in later. And so that's just part of, culture is protected by process, and it starts at the top, it moves through the people, and it's protected by process. And so, it's something that's real. You and I were joking yesterday. It's not a chupacabra, although it's hard to find.
Right,
It's
right.
like it's the ever elusive. It can't be real here.
Right, but yet it is. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
and,
is.
and I want to encourage people, if you've got a dream to have a good, healthy, life-giving culture that really empowers loan officers and recognizes, hey, there's a process to remove all the busy work. Like we can help you with that.
Yeah.
Frank, give like what like
I would
maybe
just go to look, here's the thing. If you're listening and you'd like to learn more about how this culture of unity works
yeah,
over here
yeah.
so that you could deploy it in your own team.
That's
You
it.
know what I
That's
mean? You
it.
need to know, okay, what is the deal? What is the plan? How do I, if you want to talk about that for maybe 15 minutes, just go to frankcall.com.
That's it.
Frankcall.com. You want to have a call with Frank? Frankcall.com. Happy to go over it with you.
Oh,
Maybe we'll
love it.
spend maybe 15, 20 minutes on the phone, just talk about it, stuff that you could probably just take back and
Yeah.
hopefully be able to deploy into your team, because it's you kept saying culture. I started this unity. It's
Yeah.
a culture of unity is
That's
what
it.
it
That's
is.
it.
It's a
100%.
unity culture is what it is, and
Hey,
and
and they can
it
build
can
it
be
where they're
built.
at.
It can be done.
It can be. Hey, and you know what? Hey, you know what, Frank? Why don't you do this? Anybody who books in, and especially if you're doing some volume, you're doing 4, 5, 6, 10, 15, 20 units a month, and you're like, hey, I have a vision for it. And I really can see that I can build a group that's one people, one language, one purpose, nothing's impossible. Frank, why don't you do this? Walk through the structure, like show them some of the things we're doing.
Sure. Yeah.
Like I know you've got a whole team like what we're building here. And it's like, hey, here's how we do it. Here's the meetings that we have. Here's the people we have in place. Here's the metrics and show them some of the process, dude. That would be so cool
Not a
because
problem.
you
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
totally build it where they're at. So
Yeah. Yeah. Just
that's
go to
great.
Frank Call.
Yeah.
Frankcall.com. Yeah. Set a
Hey,
grab
well,
time with
and
me.
then
I'll go through it with you.
Frank call. Hey, Frank, I gotta say, just I'm having the time of my life, man.
Me too.
Brother, I love working with you. It's such a great honor. We get the privilege of doing together the marketing animals, but now together in this national sales team.
Yeah.
Brother, it is so much fun. And thank you for your leadership and just thank you for what you bring, man. You're a big part of culture, and in culture, a lot of it comes from within inside of the people you partner with. I heard this phrase, and I'm so reminded of it. A buddy of mine told me this years and years ago. He said, "Steve, life moves at the speed of relationships." And I've got to tell you that I'm forever grateful that God connected our hearts, man. So just honored to be on the journey with you, man. I love your podcast, love what you're doing, and grateful to call you friend.
Well, all back at you, man. Something I picked up today that I really love is you said your buddy said it, or who, I don't know who said it, but healthy things grow.
Oh yeah, yeah. Isn't that
That is
interesting?
nice. Healthy
Yeah,
things grow. If we're
yeah.
not growing, we're probably not in a healthy situation,
Might be
and
a little
we got to figure
stagnant.
that out, man. We got to
Yeah,
fix it. We got to fix that thing. So, all right,
that's
Steve.
it.
Hey, thanks for being on the podcast, man. Always a pleasure. I'm talking to you shortly, I'm
Oh
sure,
yeah.
or
Oh, I'm sure I'll
something.
talk to you later today.
Yeah. So for the rest of you that have tuned in, thanks for joining us. Join us here again next week on the Mortgage Loan Officer Podcast, brought to you by the Mortgage Marketing Analyst with me, your host, Frank Garay. We'll catch up with you guys later. See you later. Bye.
See you.